Thursday, November the 6th, 12:18. Anything you hear that you want to debate, tell us we're wrong, tell us we're right. 803-404-6100. And so you can do that. Text line, phone lines. Captain Dave will take your phone call. Tyler's opened up a can of worms now in my head. I was just coming here to discuss Mike Furrey and whether there's anything he could do over the next 3 games that would cause you out there, Tyler, I know, offer our suggestion, but cause you to think he's the guy. Is 3 games a big enough sample size? It's odd. South Carolina fans have kind of seen stuff like this previously. I think Brian McClendon in the bowl game. Now, those were 1-game samples, but Brian McClendon in the bowl game against Michigan a couple years ago, which South Carolina rallied in the fourth quarter. Some dude named Shula last year against Illinois in a bowl game. But that's my first question. Like, do you look at Mike Furrey and you go, because you have the, and I say this affectionately, slightly to get a laugh, and slightly because it's true, because you were on Shula's staff and you have Shula stink on you, no, we think you're a great wide receivers coach, but no, we're not. Whatever you do, you're not the OC.
I think that's the mindset until proven otherwise.
Okay.
Now, again, if you go out next weekend against A&M, assuming they beat Missouri this weekend, are still undefeated and still ranked somewhere in the top 3, and you put up 38 points and 400-plus yards of offense, then people start saying, hey, wait a minute. Now, again, that could just be a 1-game flash in the pan. But if you do that consistently over the final 3 games, that I'm assuming means you win those final 3 games, get yourself to a bowl, it at least opens it up for a discussion. I think right now we look at this as he's just kind of your stopgap in terms of finishing out the year, because somebody has to be on the headset giving Sellers plays on offensive possessions, and that is Coach Furrey's job right now. If he really goes out there and dazzles you, then yeah, you can say it's part of the conversation. You give him a look for taking over the job full time, but I think people need to see it before that becomes a real point of conversation.
But I guess here's my point is, and I'm asking from the fans, from you, the listener standpoint, Shane Beamer's going to make his own decision.
Yeah.
If we've learned anything through 5 years, is that Shane Beamer's not going to be bullied into making his decision. And then not only that, typically he's going to go to a press conference afterwards and explain why he was right, which is fine. He's the head coach.
Well, he made a change last week, Jack.
Well, I just was thinking more back to was it the Dow Log when he hired Dow Log?
Yeah. That was like my first week here, I want to say.
Nice.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, my question is there anything Mike Furrey can do? Because if you look at the Limestone numbers, if you just look at the Limestone numbers, and I guess if you watch a little bit of tape, my personal opinion is, this is intriguing. And I also think, and Shane Beamer said something to the effect yesterday of the plays are fine. I'm okay with the plays. Now, I will say this, Tyler. I think Mike Furrey, and this is going to be a big defining thing for me that I'll look at over 3 games, hopefully 4. Does he spread teams out? Mike Shula ran those bunch formations, and it drove it. I don't know. Number one, your offensive line stinks. Okay, let's be clear about that. Sean Elliott's working to fix it, and I think he can. But you don't help your offensive line when you bunch up defenders, 7, 8 guys in the box, and it makes it harder to read a blitz.
Yeah.
We talked. Who did we talk with? Someone the other day. Was it? We talked about Josh Heupel and his offense, where and it might have been talking with you. I can't remember, but we're talking. And Josh Heupel, he kind of makes you on defense declare what you're going to do.
He uses all 53.5 yards of the field, and again, those offenses are famous for putting receivers quite literally on the white lines of the boundary, where you have to commit and tell them, hey, we're trying to stop the run, or hey, we're trying to defend the pass.
Right. Makes it easy on, if it's Boaz Stanley still at center, it makes it easy on him. It makes it easier for Lenore Sellers to be like, okay, I see you over there, as opposed to having everybody bunched up right around the line of scrimmage, and now the defense is able to fake and juke and jive and do what they want with their linebackers and the defensive backs and put pressure on the offensive line. So that, to me, is a big part of what I'm looking at, Tyler, is does he spread teams out? And then, because there were plays that worked with Mike Shula when they were spread out. And also, again, you get everybody away from the line of scrimmage, so when you decide you want to run it, dead up the gut. You're not essentially running
into a brick wall.
5 linemen into 8 other dudes just standing there with big smiles on their face.
Yeah, that could certainly help. Now, again, how much of that can you change in essentially 2 weeks? We'll see.
Just stick with the base stuff. Stick with the base stuff that spreads them out.
Yeah.
And then if you got 2 weeks, as you just said, you add a wrinkle here, you add a wrinkle there, whatever you want to do. I mean, look, let's be honest. You can't go in and completely recreate a whole new playbook. So that's one thing.
Yeah, you're operating Mike Shula's offense.
Right. And so when Shane Beamer says, well, Mike Furrey has a good grasp of it, okay, I get where Shane Beamer's, what he's saying.
Yeah.
It's not about it is about the grasp of the offense. It's about the grasp of what the players already know that you can call and that they can execute. But to me, it's more about, are you running this play to set up that play? We've talked about that jet sweep that has actually worked with Matthew Fuller. The actual jet sweep, when you spread them out, is a triple option play. You can pop past Matthew Fuller. You can hand it to your running back on the right or the left. I guess it's a 4-option play. Lenore Sellers can keep it, or you know what else you can do? You can throw it. And it makes the defense have to think a little bit and be like, all right, what are they doing here? Whereas at times it was just like, hey, Rasul, here's the ball, there's the center, there's his rear end, follow that.
And how does he call plays situationally? And I put a picture on Twitter rewatching the game from Saturday, and I said this is kind of the Shula era in a nutshell, where you have that 4th and 1 towards the end of the first quarter. You went shotgun, you handed it off vertically to Matthew Fuller, 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. You didn't have blocks from, I think, your receiver, your tight end, to help him out there. And he gets tackled 3-4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, turn the ball over on downs. Like, how do you assess those kind of situations throughout the game in a better way than Shula did? Because, look, I don't doubt Shula's football knowledge. He's forgotten more about football than we'll ever know. There's a reason why he got to the heights that he did as a head coach and as a play caller at the NFL level and at the college level, too. But it seems like some of those situations, he just didn't make the right decision, and the offense suffered because of it. So can Mike Furrey be better in those spots when given those opportunities?
So that's the first question, is kind of, to me, like, what are you looking for 3 games? Aside from, I get it. Well, Gunner, it's pretty simple. I'm looking for him to score more than 22 points in a game. Okay, we're all doing that. But I'm talking about the basics, the basic structure of the offense that leads you to believe that Mike Furrey can do this in the future. And then that leads me to the question of, and we're going to have to probably circle back to this because I want to get to Dave Bartu on these coaches, but it leads me to the basic question of, regardless of what happens, are you open to the idea of Mike Furrey being the next offensive coordinator if things go well?
Yeah, if it's good enough.
Okay.
Again, I think, until proven otherwise, you're just going to say he's your fill-in for the moment, the interim that is just doing the job because there's nobody else to do it. And look, even if you went and hired somebody else, the offensive coordinator, he'd still likely be on your staff, more likely than not as wide receivers coach. This isn't like you either keep him as OC or he's gone. Like, you can still have him on staff in the same capacity that he's been up to this point. But yeah, if it's flashy and good enough through the final 3 games, you at least entertain the idea. Now, I think most people would still want to go with an outside hire because you said you still have that, like, Shula funk on you in terms of being involved in the offense that he just happened to be calling. But, look, that would be, if the offense is good enough where we have to have that conversation seriously a month from now, that's probably a good thing.
And that goes to, you asked, well, is it a lazy hire? Or, is it an exciting hire? No, the majority of people, the ones that want to be a part of this program and weigh in with their opinion, I already know what you're going to be like, no, it's a lazy hire. That's not what we want. Whether that's fair or unfair, people want to go get the flashy name. And quite frankly, the flashy name isn't going to come. There's a little bit too much uncertainty.
Sure. And the reason I say exciting hire, because especially in today's world of college football, fan interest and excitement about a program quite literally affect the money that you have to spend on talent for the upcoming year. So if you make a really strong offensive coordinator hire that gets a lot of people buzzing and talking about you and excitement in the fan base, you quite literally could see more of a financial benefit from the people that pay into NIL in terms of where you can go and get talent in the transfer portal this offseason. It does have a direct effect on how people perceive your program.
803-404-6100. That's how you can weigh in on that. I see some of you doing it. I'll get to those texts here coming up at the end of the hour. One texter says, nope, whitewash, fresh start. And that's kind of what I mean from there.
I get it.
I do. That's why I'm asking.
Thinking that way.
That's why I'm asking. We're having a roundtable debate. You're involved. need to get involved. Need to text in or call in. Uh, Tiger Hater says, "This mean we're going to get more wide receiver action? Please, Lord, with some prayer hands."
Maybe.
We will we'll recircle back to this. Dave Bar2, CFB Matrix, coming up next. Talk some college football head coaches. It's the halftime show. It is 12:33 on a beautiful South Carolina November day. Hope you're doing well out there as we roll along. Get you set for some football tonight. NFL and college. College basketball is in full effect. NHL. I'm getting into the NHL. We got to bring it up just a little bit in a little while. Goalies. The nuisance of all sports, trying to steal Ovi's puck last night, his 900-goal puck. Goalie put it in his pants. You think I'm lying? I'll explain that in a little while. But joining us now, because not only is it college football season, apparently starting in like early October, it was coaching carousel season. And Dave Bartu, CFB Matrix, phenomenal stuff, a lot of analytical stuff joining us. Mr. Bartu, how we doing out there on the West Coast?
Dude, not as sunny as where you're at, brother. Oh my gosh, it is 40 and raining here. Last time I was in South Carolina eating some right out of the fryer Bernie's chicken, it was mid 80s, so I missed the sunshine back there right now.
It's a beautiful day here. We're going to have a couple of those coming up, and then unfortunately it's going to be like we're in Canada on Monday. It's going to be like in the 40s, and to me that's miserable. But we'll enjoy the next few days as is. Our days are more enjoyable. A lot of football coaches are not. Let's start with some underperformers, but I want to go to one that's already been fired according to your matrices, how you do things in the analytics. I'm a big Brian Kelly fan. I think he's a good coach. I actually put him as one of the top coaches on the market that's out there now. I just think it was a bad fit at LSU. But what do your numbers and analytics suggest about the job he kind of did, or what kind of coach he is?
Well, I'll try to cover a whole bunch of things with that. Okay. Number one, on paper, the year he was hired, that was the best available guy. I don't think there was any question about that. What he did at Cincinnati, what he did in the MAC, what he did at Notre Dame, performance-wise, all of it really good. But Brian Kelly is a really good lesson in why you do not grade a head coaching hire simply off of him. Because on paper, when they brought him there, in terms of his career performance, that's an A hire, right? It's a great risk. The guy's performed everywhere, and he's done it at a Power 5, Power 4 level at Notre Dame. But then the next thing you got to look at is who's his offensive and defensive coordinator. Wow, he brought Mike Denbrock with him. Now, in our coach rating index, which we have been tracking all NFL, all FBS, all FCS coaches since 2010, he got a 4.5-star offensive coordinator to come with him, and Mike Denbrock for year one. And guess what? Heisman Trophy, great offense. But he decided to retain Matt House. This is, and there's a pattern here, folks. This is where he lost it all. He retained Matt House. This guy was a 2.5-star, subpar, can't perform defensive coordinator from day one. So it looked like a great hire until he said, oh, let's keep Matt House. Then he made a bunch of other errors, and by our numbers, he had the second worst defensive staff in the SEC in his first year before September 1st. Guess who put up the second worst defensive numbers in the SEC his first year? LSU, right? So now we've lost year one, fired everybody. Now we've lost year two because we got to restack it. But in year two, Mike Denbrock goes back to Notre Dame. And what does Brian Kelly do? 2.5-star, next man up offensive coordinator. And guess whose offense stinks now? LSU's. So, you know, as great as he was on paper, his fatal flaw had always been trying to staff quickly. LSU, I don't think he ever got the traction. You know, if he could have had Blake Baker and Mike Denbrock day one and retained them, I think we're talking LSU as a national championship contender today. But he made two really critical offense and defensive coordinator hires that just sunk the ship for him, in my opinion.
So now as we look at all these jobs being open, LSU being one of them, Auburn, Florida, just kind of talking about the SEC, Penn State as well, how do you analyze something that I'm sure analytics can't quite measure in terms of like fit within what that program wants in a head coach? You know, like we talk about Louisiana and how tight-knit it is to its football program. I don't know if numbers can really back up who kind of fills those roles better than others for who's going to take over a job like that.
Well, I mean, that's feel, right? I mean, that's what the athletic director is supposed to do when they're interviewing these guys is who is the best cultural fit. You know, our job in working for athletic directors on a head coach search is more about floor awareness. How bad can this guy be? What's the worst case scenario? It's easy to see the sunny side, right? It's easy to see Brian Kelly in his best year, but you got to get that athletic director to go, well, who's his offense and defensive coordinator going to be? You know, if I was talking to Woodward at LSU when he's about to hire Brian Kelly and he goes, yeah, he's bringing Denbrock, but he's keeping house. I'm like, is there any way you can talk about a keeping house? Any way, right? Because there's your floor. So when we're looking at these things on paper, you don't know that culture. You don't know the personality. And so we're just a tiny piece of the puzzle of due diligence when it comes down to something like that. I'd like to think that the AD has their pulse on what he needs from a character and culture guy to bring in.
Again, joined this afternoon by Dave Bartu. Check him out, CFB Matrix. He's also got a lot of other cool things that we got to get him back on air here for this month that he's really excited about that's coming out, rolling out with what he's doing. But let me ask you now, so you're going to go into this job search. We know all these jobs are open. There's going to be some G5 coaches that are performing really well. They're going to get a great chance. Memphis and Ryan Silverfield is one of those guys. But give me some G5 coaches right now that might be looking at landing a gig that normally they wouldn't, or that have been overperforming and now are going to get probably a chance to move up to a higher level.
You know, there's not a lot of them.
That's what I was thinking.
Right? Here's the thing. We're getting to the point where if there's so many dominoes. Think about these dominoes, right? You got Penn State, you got LSU, you got Florida, you got Auburn. I mean, those are four huge dominoes. If you fire your guy, you know, if Kentucky goes out and fires Stoops for his 17th consecutive year of a bad offense, you know, who are you going to replace him with? Who's next man up? The pool is shallow. It's very, very shallow. Now, for the big fish, you can go get another Power 4 head coach. But I'm wondering who's left hanging here, because you look at that group of six. Look, you mentioned Silverfield. I like the guy, and he's having a good year, but he has not performed up to the talent for a long time. He, you know, on paper, you know, it's recency bias, but when you look at the overall scope of the talent he's had versus the schedule, you know, it's not as pretty as it looks, you know. And so, to me, once you get past a John Summerall, who is, on paper, the best available group of six guy by far, there's not much there. There is a lot of risk. And then you start looking at, well, who's the elite offense and defensive coordinator? I've heard, like, Brian Hartline. I'm like, dude, that guy's called plays for, like, 12 games. How is he elite? You know? I mean, he brings nothing to the table. So, in terms of a data set. So I look at it as there is very, very slim pickings out there. And I think what we're going to see this year is a ton of busts, but a massive reset of young guys who are going to be thrown into the fire too early, but are forced to. We're going to get a lot of really good long-term head coaches out of this, but there is going to be a lot of pain for a lot of programs in the process.
About 2 more minutes here. Statistically speaking, who is more likely to make the worst hire in this cycle?
To make the worst hire in this cycle, just look for, it's going to be one of the bottom end guys. Okay, it'll be a lesser program. They will take a chance on a name that is overhyped. Look for the overhyped name that is underperformed as an offensive or defensive coordinator that goes out and hires all of his buddies to be on the staff. That is an absolute recipe for failure every time.
He is Dave Bartu. Real quick, acting head coach right now. We got about a minute and a half. Acting head coach who will not be fired, but whose seat will be spanking hot next year because of underperforming.
Oh man, who's it going to be spanking hot? Well, I mean, I mentioned Stoops before. It should be hot already, right? I mean, he already got caught on a date with another chick. Right? I mean, he was on the plane to A&M. I mean, you know, he's lucky he's at a basketball school. So that's got to be one of them. Anybody else in the SEC? I can't think of anybody else in the SEC right now. They've turned everything over pretty good. Mississippi State's headed in the right direction, but they might get a little bit antsy. So we'll have to wait and see on that. You know, for me in your area, I'm curious who's coming in as the offensive coordinator, because I'm sitting here breaking down every play of Shula versus Logan's and trying to figure out what worked for Sellers last year that didn't this year.
And we'll bring you back for that. There's people with opinions. We might not even have to open up the phone lines and let you take phone calls and deal with some of. Don't worry, there's a people with opinions on that. Dave, we always appreciate a lot of great stuff there, and look forward to catching up with you. Be safe out there, and look forward to catching up with you later on this month.
Thank you for having me on. You got my number. Give me a call anytime, buddy.
We do. Check them out on Twitter at CFB Matrix is how you can do that. A lot of great analytical stuff. We'll come back. We'll hit on that, get into a little bit of basketball, and move forward in hour number one. You're listening to the Halftime Show. A lot of good stuff there from Dave Bartu. We'll get into some basketball coming up in the next hour, but let's kind of recap what he had to say on that, because I find a lot of that interesting. I think, Tyler, if you're listening, you listen to him talk about hiring buddies and doing this with offensive and defense, and you went, huh, well, that sounds a little familiar.
And look, that's not an uncommon thing in the coaching realm of, hey, I know this guy from this prior job that I had, or we have a connection to this guy, or we're on a staff together here and there. Like, just like, whenever you're trying to do something or get a team of people together, you typically will go with people that you know, or at least have some kind of relationship with. And coaching is no different. Now, again, they're getting paid millions of dollars, and they're performing on the second highest level of, gridiron football in the entire world. So relationships aren't exactly the most important thing when it comes to making those hires, but that is something that a lot of coaches lean into when they decide on who they're going to bring into their staffs.
That was part of what that was really the discussion was about Brian Kelly, who I still think is a good coach. He'll get a job.
He's going to get a job somewhere.
I'll be interested to see the level. I'll be interested to see, I don't know, it comes out the Freedom of Information Act down there in Louisiana. They get the email that he has now sent to, I don't remember who it was sent to, maybe the athletic director or the school president, or the new school president. But basically saying, hey, I'll negotiate. But you boys better bring your good negotiating pants to the table and not try and work me over on this. Is essentially, that's me not using the Cajun language I think he tried to use one final time.
So he sent it to the outgoing AD. Woodward and Osbury, the new guy.
All right, he did. Okay, I didn't know he sent it to Woodward too. But, yeah, he sends that out, so we'll see where he ends up. We'll see if he's in a rush to get back in. Now, the other part that I find really interesting is what Dave Bartu said there. We all know these kind of names. John Summerall there at Tulane. Ryan Silverfield at Memphis is another name. Alex Golish.
Alex Golish at South Florida. Eric Morris at North Texas. A lot of guys in the American.
So you got these names, but it does feel like the risk for those guys, especially given the want to win now. There's no rebuilding anymore.
Yeah.
If Eric Morris the North Texas coach, let's just say goes to Auburn, hey buddy, you get a year. Year 2, we better be 9 wins.
Sure.
Year 3, okay,
sure.
We're in the playoffs. We're talking playoffs. And so it feels like you're going to hand these other jobs, whoever doesn't get the big name coaches. And quite frankly, I think Florida lands one. I think LSU gets somebody. I don't know about Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what's out there right now. There might be a lot of coaches who go, I'm happy to stay put.
And here's the thing. I think a place like Penn State, LSU, I think they are expecting to be able to pluck an active head coach at another Power 4 school right now. Going to LSU, the leading candidate is Lane Kiffin. Penn State looking at Matt Rule, even though I don't know that's a great decision. I've heard Eli Drinkwitz's name being brought up as one of their top candidates as of right now. So they expect to be able to go in and pick somebody up that's already at a high-profile job and bring it to Penn State, which in turn opens up that job, which continues to make this carousel more chaotic. But yeah, if A, they can't get that coach, or B, they can't get one of those other hires that's at the G5 level that seems to be on the up and up because they end up going somewhere else, then you could end up with a place like a Penn State. You could end up with a place like Auburn that has to look around and go, okay, I don't know, I guess that coordinator over there that, again, we're bringing like Hartline, a Glenn Schumann, Matt Patricia, I don't know, somebody like that, say, all right, we'll hire that guy. That'll probably work, right? And that's how you end up with that buyer's remorse a couple years later. It's like, man, we didn't make the right hire in the cycle, and then 4 years later, we're looking for another head coach.
Yeah, again, I don't know what the temperature of, we know how Florida is, we know how LSU is, we know how Auburn is. What is going to be the temperature of fan bases when they go to make these hires? Because you and I are in agreement, and we'll try maybe and catch up with Yancey Porter again in a week or two and just see if the temperature down there, now that it appears Mississippi is heading, I think, to the college football playoff. It would take a massive upset. I mean, it would. I don't know how that would evolve or change things, but it would take a massive upset. But what is the temperature down there for Lane Kiffin, say in late November? And if guys like Drinkowitz look around and be like, man, I'm comfortable here at Missouri, I can miss the play. I mean, let's be honest. Eli Drinkowitz really both is close to the playoff and not close to the playoff at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not talking about he's on the hot seat.
Well, and now he has the built-in caveat of his third-string quarterback playing because you lost Prabula, you lost Sam Horn in game number 1. So let's say things go off the rails. They lose this weekend to Texas A&M. There goes their opportunity.
And they probably will. I think they will.
I think they probably will. But let's say they end up being, 8-4 or something like that. Maybe even 7-5. You can say, okay, well, you lost your quarterback, before the season ended, so you'll give him a pass on that one. But even still, if they went 7-5 with a healthy quarterback, you would look at what he's done up to that point and say, at a place like Missouri, that can buy you a lot of time. They're already willing to invest a lot of resources and NIL into what he's doing. I don't know if I'd leave that situation if I were him.
Yeah, and that's look. There's coaches. Eli Drinkowitz and Lane Kiffin are in positions where an 8-4 season, the fan base isn't calling for your head and bringing out the hot seat like the Dr. Pepper commercial.
That's right. Fire Coach Tate.
LSU in Florida, totally different. All right, we'll do our number 2, talk a little basketball, and get into a few other things. Snap counts. There's some interesting stuff from Gamecock Central. It's the halftime show.
It's all right here for our friends over at Pro Swing Columbia, 2 locations, one in Forest Acres and one out in Chapin. As the weather starts to get colder, not going to be as fun to be out on the physical golf course outside, but Pro Swing is always a nice, cool, climate-controlled environment. You can enjoy golf year-round, no matter what the weather outside is, on the Golf Zone simulators that, quite frankly, can allow you to play on just about any course all over the world. And while you're there, you can also work on your swing. They have free 30-minute swing evaluations that will give you a blueprint of your swing and a couple of pointers to work on to help you become a better all-around golfer. And by the way, if I didn't mention it a moment ago, that is free, by the way. And you can get discounted rates to practice and play at Pro Swing if you're actually taking lessons there as well. If you want more information, give them a call at 803-592-3916 or book online at proswingcolumbia.com.
It is 1 o'clock on your Thursday. I like to refer to it as the start of the weekend. You can refer to it however you want to refer to it. We will get to tonight's games. This is time of season. The NFL gets a little kind of, I think, this is where the teams don't want to have the Thursday night games, right?
It's where the quality starts to drop off quite a bit.
Yeah, the college games tonight, Georgia Southern at Appalachian State, 7:30. That game's up at Boone. That'll be on ESPN2. Texas San Antonio, we mentioned Alex Golish at South Florida. Jeff Traylor, really another one, I should say it.
And UTSA had a huge win last week. They beat the snot out of Tulane.
Yeah, they were in the dome. But actually, that UTSA game, it's on ESPN tonight. It actually, Texas San Antonio at South Florida. Now that I read that out loud and think about it, South Florida's a 13.5-point favorite, according to ESPN Bet. I don't know if you've seen the news today. ESPN Bet going away.
I did see that.
At the end of the month, yeah. How about that? Get all your money out. And App State's got Dow Loggins. I kind of drew a blank on that when I was running through that game. So there's your college games tonight. Your NFL game tonight will be the Raiders and the Broncos. So a great rivalry.
Yep.
Raiders, and we'll ask Eric Edholm about this. Raiders, I think, near the bottom. If not, I read it last night. I can't remember if they're at the bottom or they're within 2 or 3 of the bottom teams in the NFL, according to him. And Bo Nix has actually been struggling a little bit. I'll be in Denver. That actually could be an ugly game. Might not be an NFL night on Prime.
Yeah, the Raiders, it's not going well. I know they played a tight game and I think went for 2 and failed to beat the Jags on Sunday. But yeah, you peak year 1, Geno Smith as kind of a rebound quarterback. It's not going well, and the Broncos are surging right now. And, I mean, they're leading the AFC West if you're not paying attention.
803-404-6100. We've been talking we talked a lot in the first hour, offensive coordinator. And my question to you is kind of threefold now. What is exciting? And I ask that because, are you looking for the splashy name? Are you looking at Mike Furrey running an exciting offense? What is exciting? How will you deem this an exciting hire? Because if it's name, I think it's then there's only Kendall Browse, and then maybe nobody else. None of y'all know anybody else, and you're not going to get excited. And I'll come back, circle back. There's another name that I saw mentioned that has a lot of ties that I was like, I think that's a pretty good hire. That's number one. Number two, and maybe this should be number one. Is there anything Mike Furrey can even do for you as the listener? I'm going to go to the phone lines in a second and get to you, David. But is there anything that Mike Furrey can do for you to say, yeah, let's retain that guy? Or as Tyler and I, he said it nicer. You said funk, I said stink. But
same thing.
Now that he's been with Mike Shula, that he was on that offensive staff, are you like, no, I'm sorry. You could put up 50 points a game and, again, run the oop-de-oop straight out of Varsity Blues, and we love you, but you're not doing that here. We got to find somebody else. We got to go outside of the family. It's
a test he would have to pass with flying colors to where, when you compare the stats of the first, we can go back to the ball game last year, 10 games with Mike Shula and the last 3 games with Mike Furrey. If he's blowing all the statistical categories out of the water, then okay, you at least have a conversation. All right, we'll consider him. Doesn't mean you're going to hire him, but you at least consider him because you would have seen a significant improvement in a short window of time. Doesn't mean you make that hire, but you at least have a conversation about it.
So is there anything he can do, anything Mike Furrey can do in your opinion? And the question number 3 I kind of ask is, do you care? And it's not that you aren't going to care. It's my kind of attitude is look, and I said Mickey Mouse, it could be Goofy, Donald Duck. Any of the Disney characters. You could go hire an Avenger. Whatever. The hire makes or breaks Shane Beamer. It works. And whoever he hires, you're like, good, we're doing it. Or it flat out doesn't work and he's fired. Most coaches don't get a 4th chance. Are we on 4? 1, 2, 3.
Technically,
sad I got to play that game.
The Bobo thing was a carryover, so 3 official hires.
Okay, all right, yeah. So, but most coaches don't get this opportunity.
Right.
And this is South Carolina and Jeremiah denied. And look, I personally don't think Shane Beamer should be fired. Let me be very clear. I don't, unless they lose the next 3, a combined 210-0, and it looks like players are quitting and transferring, like all of them. I don't think Shane Beamer should be fired. He gets year 6. There really isn't. There's nothing that changes my mind on that. But Tyler, not a lot of coaches get this opportunity that he's getting.
No, and not a lot of coaches, I think, fully understand how important that hire is to the future of their own job at times when you're going into next year being a critical year because you took such a significant step back this this year. And again, I made the point earlier about the excitement of a hire, and that has a lot more to do with fan interest and conversation around your team, though that does matter in terms of people quite literally being willing to give their own money to you through NIL so you can go out there and acquire talent in the portal and all that kind of stuff. But you hope it's somebody that can generate excitement within the team too. Because again, this has kind of been, I know last year was kind of the anomaly, but they've never really been a wow offense in the Beamer era. Again, you did better last year, and you had some significantly better talent that you got out of the portal that certainly helped you out there. But the other now 4 years outside of it, it's not been great. And you've almost kind of developed that identity. It's like, hey, Carolina, special teams, Beamer ball, and they'll have some good defenses, but offense isn't really their strong suit. You don't want to be tagged with that of like, they're the team that doesn't really care about offense, or they're really not good at it, because that affects you on all fronts. When it comes to perception, recruiting, all those kind of things, you don't want to be that program like in Iowa.
Yeah.
Iowa doesn't care about offense. So look at Mark Gronowski. He has regressed significantly since transferring there. It's almost sad to see what his numbers look like this year, even though the other two aspects of that team are really, really great. You don't want to be that kind of program.
So let's go to the phone lines where, David, thank you for waiting extremely patiently. What's on your mind today regarding this offensive coordinator hire?
Hey, Bill. Hey, Tyler. So here's my thing. If Mike Furrey can pull a Brian McClendon, and I had to look these numbers up while I was on hold, Brian McClendon was the last wide receiver coach, I think, who got promoted to OC at South Carolina. He averaged like 30 points a game and 425 yards of offense. If he can do that in these next 3 games, hire the dude. I don't care, right? But if not, reset it and hire Paul Crewe for all I care at this point. Just get somebody who can score more than 14 points a game.
Yeah, I that's kind of how I'm with Paul Crewe. That's a good one. Thank you for that. We ought to play some game with that. Thank you for the phone call, David. That's where I'm at. Let me just go down a path. I thought Brian McClendon got a raw deal. If we want to play real quick, I thought Brian McClendon's offenses were fine. I felt like that was a panic move by Will Muschamp. We can go back and debate the 2020. And Mike Bobo was a good hire, by the way. Like he did kind of at least kind of upgrade. But the easiest thing in the world was like in 2019, you lose your senior quarterback, who we all know graduated high school a year early. So I do know that. And Jake Bentley. So we're well covered.
It's supposed to be a prom now.
Anyway, but you lose your senior quarterback that year on the opening game. You have a few other injuries. You're working with a kid who clearly was not ready in Ryan Helinski. And yet, offense, I mean, it wasn't great, but I didn't think that was a reason to fire Brian McClendon. But Mike Bobo was available, and that made it kind of easy, I guess. Anyway, 803-404-6100. You can weigh in on that. Let's get to some of these text messages on a variety of different things here. Some of it on the offense coordinator, all caps. No more pro-style OCs. I think we all agree on that. Although, I gotta admit, I don't know what a pro-style offense is. My thing is, don't do the bunch formation. Like, South Carolina's not good enough.
And pro style can also mean your balance of run to pass, where you try and stay pretty even on that, as opposed to a college offense. Think about like the air raid. You're throwing the ball a whole lot more. I don't know if you ever get to that point, but it's those kind of things where you have more of a variation of one side to the other of run or pass. And like, I don't know what Vanderbilt's split numbers are right now, but they have a lot of running elements mixed in their offense because they're running an option offense, which is kind of predicated on the run and the selection of the quarterback being able to do a variety of things. So those kind of options out there that are more college type of offenses, they don't necessarily translate over to the NFL and that's where the kind of the debate of what Shula did when it came to Sellers' development is, okay, was he trying more to get him ready for the NFL or trying more to help him succeed this specific season? Neither one of them worked, whatever he was trying to do. But, and I go back to a couple of weeks ago when we heard from some of the offensive linemen that were available to the media, and a couple of them said, yeah, we're making sure 16 gets to the league. And like, yeah, I want to see Sellers succeed in the NFL too, but we're worried about winning this season right now. Like, I don't care about his development for the next level if I'm a South Carolina fan. I want him to translate that success to the field here, and it's not happening this year.
Texter weighs in, would love to keep Mike Furrey as OC, but because I think he will do well. Tired of getting all these names that don't fit Carolina. We need homegrown coaches. If Furrey doesn't maintain spot, Jeff Scott's available because apparently Clemson doesn't want him, and he did play at Blythewood and can definitely dial up play. Jeff Scott wouldn't come here at all. Like, I don't even think he'd come here to be the head coach for like $10 million. He despises, the last I heard, unless he's had a complete change of heart. And some of y'all probably know him a little bit better still from his time. Yeah, like no.
And that is something.
By the way, just one other name. If there's ever a basketball coaching search, Ryan Odom. Ryan Odom will also never come to this university, and money doesn't matter.
And that's something you also have to throw out there when it comes to any kind of coaching search. There are candidates out there for whatever reason or the other, and for somebody like him, maybe it's a connection to Clemson.
Well, it's his dad. It's his dad.
Yeah,
That's
and just don't like your school, don't want to be a part of your school, don't like your program. Maybe they don't like the administration or the athletic director. There can be a litany of reasons for why what seems like a great candidate for your school may not even entertain the option to come here. They may not like you. Like, that's something you do have to think about.
Obviously his dad was Brad Scott. Most of y'all are going to remember that, or hopefully you've blocked it out at this point in time in your life, 27 years later. Jeff Scott. And again, basically straight from the horse's mouth, Ryan Odom will never come here. Now, he's at Virginia now, which he has a great job. But Beth weighs in, and she said if Furrey beats A&M, Coastal, and Clemson, then maybe he can stay. Also, maybe they should change NIL. If the players don't perform well, the players should pay us back. And if a coach underperforms, he should pay the university. I think everybody thinks that now.
Now we're going down the legal route, in which that's its own.
We want our money back.
Worms.
Yeah. You've already spent our money? What do you mean? Let's get to this question, because I've seen this all over, I think maybe in the last 24 hours. I don't know if you care. I'll let you start here, and then we'll wrap up this segment and do some basketball. Tyler, Bill, what are your thoughts on Blanchard's partnership with Clemson? You want to go first?
I did see that. Look, they're a business. If that's going to benefit them as a business to have their name and display in multiple places, that's in the best interest of the business. I don't think it's a. Are we looking at this like a Benedict Arnold kind of thing?
I don't know.
They went behind your back and betrayed you.
I don't know why people are upset.
No, I mean, it's business at the end of the day.
I could care.
They operate around the entire state.
I don't know if I cared about anything less, and I've given a lot of effort to stuff lately in my life to care less about. Like, honestly don't see I know their logos on the field.
Sure.
Do not notice it. No offense to Blanchard.
Well, it's become.
I don't work in the tractor industry or have a reason.
It's become part of the field, right? Like, right. I know for the first game, you're like, oh, okay, that's different. But now it's just like, and not that you're omitting it, it's just your eyes have adjusted to it.
As long as their check is clearing the South Carolina bank account.
Yeah. Look.
I don't care if their check is clearing the Clemson account. Now, I don't know if there's maybe somebody knows something different about what they're paying Clemson as opposed to what they're paying South Carolina.
I don't know, but
and then that's on South Carolina to up the ante and be like, we want more.
They're still writing you a check,
and it's clearing.
It's
keyword. You can write a check. Listen,
it's different if they stopped writing you checks and took all their money to Clemson. But like, as long as they're still giving you money, like, I don't see what the problem is.
That's how we feel. I've seen people very upset about this. Like,
It's business.
Let them write the. Make sure the check clears. If the one time the check bounces, get your $35 refund with it, or charge them for that, and then we move forward. But no,
does that affect anything on the field? I don't think so.
I don't know. At this point, all options are open for what's been affecting them on the field.
I guess. I was not bothered by it.
Let's not rule any option out on what's gone wrong with the offense. 803-404-6100. We'll come back. Since I was out yesterday, we'll get into a little bit of basketball from Tuesday night and offer my thoughts on what I watched on television. You're listening to the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for over 30 years, Larry Leitner and the family, they have been the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. You heard that correct. Over 30 years, and that's because they do things the right way. Customer service is the most important thing, making sure you, the customer, whether it's your home or your business, that roof is keeping your operation dry and running long into the future. And they're there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You just can give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Again, that's 803-356-1919. They'll help you with a maintenance contract. Doesn't matter if it's at midnight or mid-afternoon. Mid-State Roofing has got someone there, either an on-call technician or a Mid-State Roofing employee ready to take your phone call and help you handle whatever issues that you're having. So don't wait another day. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek. Tonight, Carolina calls. No Shane Beamer. He's got the week off. Go relax, hang out, come up with an offensive plan, do some recruiting. So Carolina calls. Dawn Staley and Brad Mueller will be hosting a women's basketball game tomorrow night, Bowling Green. is the opponent. But Carolina calls 7 to 8 tonight. I believe that'll still be at Backstreet's Bar and Grill, and it'll be Dawn Staley and Brad Mueller on the I say on the call for that.
On the show for it, whatever you want to call it. But yes, when during bye weeks, we go with basketball. So, Dawn's crew obviously getting their win on Monday night to open the season and back in action tomorrow.
And, of course, no football, so you have no pregame show that you are currently just commanding. You're the leader of that.
My parents are going to come up, hang out for the weekend, watch the Georgia game on Saturday. We're actually going to Friday Night SmackDown tomorrow night. That'll be fun. So do some fun bye weekend stuff.
Well, we'll plan to get a preview of that coming up tomorrow. You put that on the list. Little Friday night Colonial Life Arena?
No, Bond Scores.
Oh, okay. Go to Greenville. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
A little 90-minute ride.
Well, we'll do a preview of that tomorrow from Tyler Head.
I wish it was a Colonial Life. That'd be a whole lot easier.
That was a dumb question. I just literally said women's basketball tomorrow night. Oh, wait, they're doing wrestling and basketball.
That'd be an interesting dynamic to have both going on at the same time.
Right. Yeah. Little half court 3-on-3 while wrestling's on the other side. Why not? Let's make it happen.
I think some of Dawn's players could become pretty good wrestlers.
I'm not going to touch that one. 803-404-6100. Men's basketball on Tuesday night. I have been intrigued to see this team. I was even more intrigued after listening to the exhibition game against North Carolina State. Now, let's be very clear on this, Tyler. We ain't going to learn a whole lot in terms of how great this team is through this non-conference schedule.
No, Ken Palm is legitimately had NCAA as one of the worst teams in the country.
Yeah, I mean, you do have Northwestern and Butler coming up 2 weeks from, I think it's Butler first on the 21st.
I think you're right.
And then Northwestern on the 23rd. And Butler blew somebody out. It was last night. I watched a little bit of them to get a scouting report. I didn't learn a thing. And I watched a little bit of Creighton last night. They were on television. Then I went down a path with the NBA. But Butler and Northwestern, and then you get Virginia Tech and Clemson. All right, there's your four that we'll watch intently and be like, okay, because Virginia Tech blew something. I mean, it's all it's all essentially blowouts right now. But the other 8 are about as delicious a cupcake as you could schedule. And you mentioned it, North Carolina A&T. But what can I take away? What do I look at when I'm watching? Well, number one, I want to see South Carolina show me that they have a legit point guard that will be able to handle SEC play. I did not see that, and I'm not trying to put them down, but I didn't see that on Tuesday night. Now, I think they got having a ball handler, and they have ball handlers. They are not lacking in ball handling skills. They are all a bunch of really good ball handlers. That does not make one a point guard. And I think that's where I'm interested to see the growth of Eli Ellis. Michi Johnson is not a point guard. No offense to him. The offense bogged down slightly at times, I thought, because he got a little excited. He's back home. He's the dude.
Sure.
You can tell he's happy to be the dude, and he should be. He should be. He's going to be the heart and soul of that basketball team. He's going to be the emotional leader. He is probably the best player right now on the team. But I thought the offense bogged down because a few times in the second, I think it was actually in the first half, he just all of a sudden decided, in the second half too, actually, I remember, hey, I'm just going to go one-on-one here.
Yeah.
You four stand around and watch what I'm about to do.
Well, we've known that from his prior time here. He is a shoot-first type of guy. And again, when you have him in that two type of role, obviously that's going to benefit him because you had a guy in Talon Cooper that was commanding the offense, getting the ball. Okay, he's going to take his shots from wherever. What's a little bit different when he's the one kind of commanding the offense. And, again, I love the confidence and the ability of being able to shoot from wherever you think that you can. But, you do like the guy that's maybe a little not as trigger happy when it comes to playing the point guard spot.
Well, I mean, there's more that goes into it. As a guy who obviously played point guard, obviously only at the high school level, mind you, but for a state championship team, as a guy who feels like he's a pretty good point guard coach and developed some in AAU that went on to play in college. I feel like I have a good understanding of the position. And Talon Cooper, I contend, and I will say forever, you give Talon Cooper 2 more years of this university, and we're putting him up there as one of the all-time greats in terms of being a point guard.
Yeah.
He was a different breed. Now, he was a different breed because of his size, what he could do defensively, but also the way he was able to run the team and then make the critical shot when he had to, if that makes sense. You're kind of right. He didn't have to score.
And he came in with so much experience. That's hard to That's hard to replicate. And again, Meechie Johnson has been around for a long time playing college basketball, but Teron Cooper, he had like 120 games or something like that.
Yeah,
Morehead
State, Minnesota.
Yeah, like that. That was a very rare type of portal find in him.
But to my point, I do want to see them continue to develop what would be a true point guard that runs the offense. Eli Ellis maybe is that guy. That's kind of the guy that I'm looking at. I do think in the portal next year, you go out and you find the guy who, might only give you about 8 points, 9 points a game, but is going to give you 5 or 6 assists to a single or 2 turnovers, and you go get that guy. But love the shooting. Mm-hmm. Love the fact that everybody out there can shoot the basketball. South Carolina's going to get somebody at home this year. They're going to have one of those nights, and you and I are going to come in here the next day. We're going to be, whoa, 18 of 27 from three-point range. What a performance. Yep. And they're going to have a night where we come in here the next afternoon, and we're like, 4 of 29. That wasn't good. But I don't think that'll happen. He has gone out, Lamont Paris, Tyler, and found a basketball team, not one dude, 2 dudes, 3 dudes, a basketball team who you better defend 30 feet from the basket because they'll let it fly and they can knock it down.
Yeah, and we'll see what the defense ends up looking like. You may be a team that ends up giving up a lot of points, but one that can score a lot yourselves. And like you mentioned, the way, and again, it's a one-game sample size, but if it continues this way, you're going to give yourself an opportunity against, and not that you didn't give yourself opportunities last year, you were in a lot of the games that you lost. Unfortunately, like the football team, you couldn't figure out how to close out some of those games down to the very end. So you're going to have a seemingly more potent offense. It's going to give you those opportunities to be aggressive late in those games and hopefully close things out. And I agree with you. I think, again, you look at the schedule, and it's daunting because it always is in the SEC, but there's going to be some games that most people look at and say, there's no way Carolina can win that. They're going to find a way to spring an upset or two and hopefully position themselves to have a much better season than they did a year ago.
Yeah, no, they're because when you have the ability to shoot the basketball like that, there's not a game on that schedule they can't win. It's that simple. There's also, when you are going to be reliant on shooting the ball like that, there's not a game on that schedule you can't lose. But they're a chance. What's going to define them, and this is where the non-conference schedule actually sets up really well, is developing a defense. They are trying to figure it out right now. They have not had the time, I don't know if Lamont Paris would agree with this. I don't think they've had the time just yet to gel. The non-conference is going to allow them, Tyler, at least 8 games to do that.
Yeah.
8 games against, again, tasty cupcake opponents, 4 games against probably quality opponents. We'll see what Virginia Tech and Clemson and Butler and Northwestern end up being. So I think the deal, because I didn't think the transition defense the other night was particularly great. They lost some guys in transition, gave up some shots. North Carolina A&T hit them. But that is an extremely fixable thing. And when you're going to play 7 more games this Sunday against Southern Miss is where that starts, that really you can – I don't worry about that. That's almost a very mild concern of mine.
Yeah, going to be fun to track this team. Again, got to start off on the right foot. And, again, hopefully it continues as we go through this non-conference slate.
We'll come back and wrap up some thoughts on that. Tyler's got some men's basketball trivia. I love trivia. Yeah, I think he says if I get all the answers right, I get a 107.5 The Game T-shirt. That sounds just awesome to me. We'll do that, and we'll talk a little more basketball, and then we'll move forward with some football. Eric Edholm coming up at 2:15 to talk NFL as well. You're listening to The Halftime Show. It is 1:35 on a Thursday. Got into a little bit of NHL last night, watched a little bit of NBA. You had a pretty good game go late into the night. I saw it, and I saw a couple people tweeting about it, and it makes me think either people are catching on or you're listening to me or us a little bit in terms of Wemby for the Spurs. If he's on TV, you got to take, and he hadn't played. I will say this: he has not played particularly well. Did not play very well the other night. Last night, not his best performance, but just number one, a genetic freak, and he's developing. And I don't know what his ceiling is going to be, but I will tell you, if you're scanning the TV channels, the guide, and you come across a Spurs game, it's worth taking 10 minutes of your time just to watch this unhuman alien creature play basketball. Nobody's supposed to be that tall. No, he's not big, mind you. When you're 7'5", it's a lot of weight to spread out. Not everybody's Shaq, but the things he does, the way he just plays, it's inhuman, and it's fun to watch. And he's not playing particularly well the last two games. And the Spurs, I think, have lost now two in a row. I believe they lost last night, 118-116.
Because they're in the pool play for the
wasn't
the cup,
last
right?
night.
It wasn't last night.
Wasn't last. And the only reason, it might. I'm pretty sure it wasn't because they didn't have the funky courts that make me turn the TV.
Okay.
It was regular Lakers court.
I know that started.
Yeah.
I think on Halloween.
Yeah, I don't unless
does that make you care anymore?
No.
That they have that.
No, and it was one of those nights. I tried to get into a little bit of action. The hockey. Boy, I am not a movie person. The hockey couldn't really pull me in. What else was on last night? What else was like I said, the college basketball was kind of weak last night. I do like watching Creighton. They were on Peacock, and they started blowing out South Dakota. It was kind of one of those nights where I was like, all right, because even the Knicks were playing the T-Wolves, and I watched a little bit of that, and then got into a little bit of then I got into the Spurs Lakers, because it is like those are Luka Doncic and Wemby and they're what they do. It as a basketball player, as a person who does love watching football more,
yep,
but loves the game of basketball more, if that makes any sense at all. I don't know. It's just Luka threw a pass last night. Jokic threw to skip completely. Was that last night or was that 2 nights ago against Miami for the Nuggets? Threw a pass in the corner back, threw it over his head. It looked like something a seventh grader would do as he's falling out of bounds, except the seventh grader's literally just throwing it into the middle of the court. Jokic threw it on a dime to a cutter going for a layup. They ended up they ended up making the basket, but I just have so much appreciation for the skill and ability of guys like that in the game of basketball. I enjoy watching it.
Sure.
And took some of it in. All right, Tyler's got some
I do.
men's basketball trivia. Let me forewarn you.
Okay.
This is a true story. 2007-ish. I had just gotten married. 2008. The last time I had to do men's basketball trivia.
Mm-hmm.
I was not doing radio in this town. I was a regular civilian, just out there amongst the people. Thought I knew everything. Called into 107.5 The Game, won tickets in basketball trivia to the SEC tournament over at in Georgia Dome.
Yep. R.I.P.
In 07. That was actually the tornado year. Was that 07?
No, 08 was tornado
okay,
year.
08.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm old. Time runs together. So just be alert. If you're doing, are we doing Gamecock men's basketball trivia?
Yes, it is.
This is where I shine.
All right.
As I am about to go for 5 or something.
So we made the jokes leading into the season that you're going to need to sit up there with the media guide to know who is who on the court.
Okay, this might maybe not my kind of trivia.
I can either give you the name or the number, and you tell me who that corresponds with.
Okay.
What would you prefer?
All right, doesn't matter. You think whatever is going to be harder. I think I can play this game.
All right, so we're going to go through the roster. It's all new guys, so I'm not going to ask you Miles Studi's numbers or anything like that. Just new guys to the roster. You got to tell me what their number is, or if I give you
give me the number. Give me. I'm going to do better with the number. Yeah.
All right, let's start off with number 4.
Right off the bat, really should be writing this down. Pass. I'm
You're
going to get a
on number
pass here
4.
because I'm going to slowly narrow it. Oh, no. That's Kobe Knox.
That is correct. Kobe Knox is number 4. How about number 20?
Hayden Asimian, I believe is how we say his last name.
That's correct. 2 for 2. Hayden Asimian is number 20. Let's go to number 13.
That is Elijah Strong.
No.
Okay, Grant Polk.
Grant Polk is number 13. Number 2.
Who is number 2?
Yes, who is number 2?
Ooh, I don't know that one. It's not. Ooh. New player? No, you're not doing E.J. Walker, who is redshirted, right?
I will not do E.J. Walker.
Does E.J. Walker have a number? Did he get
does
a number?
he's number 6 for those curious.
All right.
So, yeah, either
right.
freshman or transfers, guys new to the team.
Number 2. Is that, is it Christ?
Chris Isendoko.
Yeah.
I'm going to get that right at some point.
Well, we will. Well, he's got to play better, otherwise we won't be talking
about him.
him.
The guy on TV said Asandiko.
Yeah.
He was saying Asandiko. I'm not sure if that's, I think they have a pronunciation on the website. Maybe I should click on that.
That's okay. Am I right?
You are right. He is
Okay.
number
2.
He is number 2.
Yeah, 3 for 4.
Doing pretty good so far. How about number 7?
7.
This might be tricky.
7. Lucky number 7. And you said it's tricky.
You know what? I won't hold this against you. You didn't take the court the other night.
Oh, wait, who's 7?
Abi Yarma.
Oh, okay, thank you.
So
I was like, yeah,
that might be a little too tricky.
Odd memory, but
Yeah.
I think I remember nothing.
How about number 31?
That's Strong.
That's Strong. 24.
By the way, I was close. 13 and 31.
Yeah, you had it flipped.
What'd you say? 24?
24.
How do we say his name? Norden Kapik?
Kapik.
I was Kapich. Yeah.
Kapik.
Like him. Big fan of him, by the
Yeah.
way. I love what he's going to bring to this team. I was a huge fan of his the other night.
How about
Really want to see him in SEC play.
How about 15?
That's Ellis.
And lastly, 55.
This is easy. Who's the last player remaining that I haven't mentioned? Who am I blanking on? You're not playing Michi, right?
No.
Okay.
Michi's
Yeah, I was going to
5.
say Michi's definitely not 55.
Yeah.
Who's 55? Why am I blanking on who's 55? What an awful person I am. Who's 55?
Mike Sharvin jumps.
I knew that. And that was actually the first one, and I literally, that's where I thought we were going to start.
Or Mongolian Mike if you don't want to try the last name.
I'm interested to see his development. I'm interested to see his development, where he goes, because I'm not, this goes back to, he can handle the ball.
Yeah.
He can make passes. It seems like he's got a pretty good, one game sample size, like he's got a pretty good basketball IQ.
Yeah.
That does not equal being a point guard. So for everybody who's like, well, let's make him a point guard. That's a brilliant idea. No, settle down.
He's kind of that anomaly. He's 6'9". That's not your typical guard size, but he can do a variety of things.
He's a great utility player.
Yeah.
He is I like what he brings. I think he's a difficult matchup. I want to see his defense really improve. I want to see his rebounding get better, but I don't know if I'm thrilled with him being. You get multiple guys. You're like, all right, just somehow get the ball up the floor.
Yeah,
I get that. I kind of prefer. And I'll go down a path. I know we got about a minute. I think that was the biggest thing with Frank Martin after he won the Final Four. His point guard Ra Felder gets dismissed, and he never went out and got another point guard. He never went out. He kept trying to shoehorn 2 guards into the point guard spot. And I honestly think there were teams that Frank Martin had post-Final Four. If he just had a legitimate point guard, and I know that they had P.J. Dozier and they had Ra Felder, and Felder gets kicked off the team and Dozier goes to the NBA. But Frank Martin post-Final Four, and it didn't seem like he ever tried to recruit a point guard. And maybe I'm wrong. I never had that conversation with him. It didn't seem like he ever tried to actually get a legitimate point guard. He just kept getting 2 guards.
Yeah.
Like, you, bring ball up, handle ball. Jermaine Cousinard. Perfect example. 803, A.J. Lawson's another one. 803-404-6100. We'll come back and wrap up hour number 2. You're listening to the Halftime Show. Wrapping up hour number 2. We will, next hour, Eric Edholm will join us. We'll talk some NFL developing. So you were kind of telling me we don't know all the details. It's getting kind of crazy and wild. But Tyler, as we were going to break, as we were in break, you mentioned there's a wild story, developing story pertaining to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, defensive end, Marshawn Nealon, second-year guy with them. Made a couple starts this year. Actually scored a touchdown on Monday in that game against the Cardinals on a block punt. Died overnight. More details are kind of coming out. It's involved that there was a potentially police chase and may have made some phone calls to some people and may have ultimately ended his own life. Again, more details to come out. That's just kind of what we know as of right now. Again, sad situation, obviously all around there. But yeah, that's kind of the news in the morning in the NFL as of right now.
We will not talk about that with Eric Edholm. We'll talk about his current power rankings. I sent you, and we're going to do this coming up at 2:15. Did you look at his power rankings?
I did. I briefly skimmed over them.
Anything real quick in the top 10 that kind of caught your attention?
Well, let me get them
pulled
back up here.
Okay.
And
we're gonna get the he writes for NFL Network, and I'll give you all his credentials. Very good writer.
He kind of I think follows the model that myself and Jack Velcher use when we do our NFL top 5, bottom 5 every single week, where it's more kind of like a reaction to what happened the past weekend with everything else that's happened that season baked into it, because he's got the Seahawks at number 1, and I'll kind of loop the Seahawks and the Rams kind of in here together because I feel like they're both flying under the radar.
Okay, that was kind of we're going to get to that, yeah.
And maybe it's because they're on the West Coast playing in the NFC West or whatever, so maybe haven't watched a ton of the games, but those teams are playing. Do you know that Matt Stafford's tied for the league lead in touchdown passes this year?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, like
I saw that on Sunday
it's like, oh wow, like he's
21-2,
back to being Matt Stafford from a couple years ago, and he's on track to beat his own season record of 41 touchdowns. Like that's amazing.
Yeah, we'll get to that. The Seahawks, obviously, on Sunday night, what they did to the Commanders, and of course, then Dan Quinn leaves Jaden Daniels in there to get smoked at the end of the game, and so forth and so on. But yeah, we'll get to that. College football news from yesterday. Love it. Love both of it, but one of them I'm kind of irrelevant to, or could care less. Who won? Money or common sense? Michigan and Western Michigan are like, hey, we're not going to go to Germany. Or Michigan said, no, we'll stay and play in the big house against Western Michigan. How about that? We'll stay here.
I like to think common sense won, but unfortunately it was probably money. And look, I am always pro home environments. Michigan, the big house has 100,000 people that pack in there for whatever game they're going to play, and you can't tell me going across the pond to play in Frankfurt, Germany would have been any better in any way besides the money you could have generated from it. So I'm glad that we are keeping this in the States. And I didn't understand the appeal of going to Germany for a game you're going to have a blowout win in anyway. Like, all right, you beat Western Michigan 49-10. Does that suddenly make a bunch of people in Germany want to watch your football product? Because for half of them probably are confused of what they're watching when you're beating up on this poor other team.
Who's that more fun for? I mean, if I'm a Michigan fan, I probably, it's an expensive trip to Germany, but it's a reason to go to Germany. I forget where exactly were they playing again?
Frankfurt.
They're playing
Frankfurt.
And all right, catch my favorite football team, watch the game. We're gonna win anyway.
Get some authentic German beer afterwards.
Yeah, I don't know how. I got no idea how the tailgating situation is over there. Have some bratwurst or whatever, and go about your business and get a good trip. Or does the Western Michigan players, like, you're already looking at like, we gotta go to, we can't beat Michigan.
I think
But now you get a vacation out of it. You're like, all right, we're gonna at least play a football game.
Yeah, you'll get to go do the sights and sounds of whatever's going on in Germany. And I don't like a plane ride back from a loss is already tough. Not the win, but West Michigan would have to fly back from Ann Arbor. They probably drive, but then you're flying back like 9-10 hours after getting your butt kicked. And then you got to try a short week to your next game or whatever. Well, no, they would have played week 0, so I guess they would have taken the next week off.
Yeah.
But I just keep it in the States, man. We don't need internet. The NFL checks the international box enough. I mean, the Falcons and the Colts are playing in, I think, Berlin this weekend. Like, keep college football in America, please.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, Falcons Colts Olympic Stadium in Berlin. Other thing from yesterday, Auburn and Notre Dame, home and home, 2027, 2028. Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Let's please keep it. Now,
love it.
Auburn doesn't have a non-conference out of conference opponent like Clemson.
Yeah. So they have to do that.
They've got to. And Notre Dame is very happy to do it. But thank you. All right, good. Notre Dame and Auburn never played each other.
Nope.
Auburn will have a new football coach. They might still be waddling around at 5-7. Who knows?
Notre Dame could have a new football coach by then. We'll
Marcus
see.
Freeman could be in the NFL. I know he's not taking another college job. We'll come back. Gamecock Central. This is where I saw it. Put out the Gamecock snap counts for the year. We'll look at those. Eric Edholm will join us. Enrico Dowdle, and settle down. It is Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder, and First Palmetto Bank. All right, 6th of November. We're going to be to Thanksgiving. We're going to be to Christmas, and then we're going to be into 2026 before you know it. And I know you're probably thinking about Thanksgiving dinner and all that. You're probably thinking about Christmas shopping and so forth and so on. But I also know some of you out there are thinking about your home in 2026, and you're like, should I refinance? Maybe I can save money. You've been looking at the interest rates lately. Maybe you're thinking, boy, the kids are leaving. We want to downsize a little bit, or maybe we need to upgrade. The very first phone call you have to make is to Jacob Crowder. Saw him yesterday. He was out at the benefit golf tournament. Great guy. Has helped Columbia for over 20 years, finding the right interest rate and the right mortgage plan. And with First Palmetto Bank, they have a long list of options that can help you save money. Keep those monthly mortgage payments are down. But you got to give them a phone call first. 803-719-1005. Again, it's 803-719-1005. one more hour on a Thursday, then we'll come back and have a fun football Friday. No Gamecock football this weekend, so tomorrow we'll break down the weekend it'll be. Tyler will give us a very thorough, good preview on SmackDown tomorrow night. What do we got real quick? Slight preview. Who do we got? What's the headliner tomorrow night?
The only confirmed matches we have are Charlotte Flair, Nia Jax, and then Rey Fenix and Tala Tonga. I believe that's the only two matches that we have as of right now.
Okay.
So we'll see. Usually things either get announced day of or materialize throughout the show. So interested to see what happens.
I've been to Bon Scores for I don't know if we went for a SmackDown or what, but it was on television, and at the very end it was like a wild. I have to tell you off air, not trying to explain it, see if you know exactly what I'm talking about.
You know what year it was?
I went to Key West the next day. I know it very well. It was 2022.
Okay.
2022. It's 2025. Is that right?
Might be able to figure it out.
Yeah. So it was on a Friday. It was on a Friday. We left for Key West the next day. So I remember it was in August. Anyway, Tyler will give us a breakdown of that. We'll have Brian Edwards on. He has sent us his picks. We will have him on tomorrow. Chris Deering will join us for the high school highlights of the week. We'll talk about the upcoming playoff games and what's taking place there. Also, maybe if we have time with Chris, do a little sneak peek into the high school basketball season. Tryouts officially got underway this week. Tryouts, that's a loose term when it comes to varsity basketball, but they were able to get going. We got some jamborees that are set to take place. So we'll have a lot to get into tomorrow, and I'm sure we will find something else to cut up about tomorrow. But today, we started off and we were talking offensive coordinator.
Yep.
803-404-6100 if you got an opinion. Mike Furrey, let's start with, can he do anything for you, the listener, to convince you that he's the guy, that he is the guy? That's question number one.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Can he do anything? Number two, what do you want to see differently? Like, I'll give you an example. But aside from scoring, right, Tyler? We all want to see more scoring. What can he do differently? Does he spread them out? Does he spread the field out? That's what I want to see different.
Yeah.
Okay? Spread them out, because then we can go from there. And number three, what is an exciting hire? Is it a name or is it a system? And I'll give you another name here coming up in just a while. Those are the three questions I have.
Yeah.
Let's go to the phone lines and Mr. JB. Okay. No. Eric is at 2:15.
Oh,
tell him. Yeah.
I think Dave called him too early.
That's okay. It's all right. We're a professionally chaotic programmer here. Yeah, he might have been a little surprised, but 2:15 for Eric. Dave, are we good to go to JB now? No, not yet. JB, we'll get to you in just a minute. We'll come right to you. Those are the three questions I have. Is Mike Furrey an acceptable hire? If he does something you like, what do you want to see different? And what Brad Glenn is a name that I'm going to throw out there from Cincinnati.
Okay.
I don't know if that excites people, but you look at what he's doing with Brandon Sorsby, and they're kind of like I watched them deal, and I know they got plowed by Utah, but Brad Glenn has some ties. He was the offensive coordinator for Sean Elliott. Okay, there's a big tie. He's familiar with with a bunch of the people on staff. Like, there are some serious ties where he steps in almost seamlessly.
Sure.
And if if he would want to leave Scott Satterfield, I don't know.
Well, I guess
and Cincinnati.
Not to keep adding questions to your question here, but like, how many offensive coordinators on name alone would qualify as exciting hires? Because there's only a handful that I feel like their names are known around enough where if you just mention it to the casual Gamecock fan, they know who you're talking about. And I think a lot of those guys at the very top of that list would probably not be coming here anyway, because they're probably looking for head coaching jobs, which is why you know their names so well. So I don't know if name recognition is going to be something that you're going to get from your coordinator hire if you go and poach somebody else's OC.
803-404-6100. Let's go to the phone lines. JB wants to weigh in this afternoon. How you doing, Mr. John?
What's going on, buddy? You just nailed it. The reason I held on for a while because, man, the guy y'all had on earlier, I loved it. Whenever he came out, he started talking about coaches hiring friends and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, man, I can only imagine that in the upstate because half of the staff's former players and stuff. But even down here, two things. You just brought up the name Brad Glenn. Tony had put that out yesterday. And everybody underneath it, oh, that's just another friend bringing a friend in and this, that, and the other. You got the talk with the connection with Donati and Kendall Browse out at TCU. And, of course, everybody wants him. That's the name and that's the big name. Would he come? Does that connection help? But here's the thing, and this is why I wanted to hold, because I want y'all's opinion on this. And you said it earlier, one of you. Shane Beamer is going to do what Shane wants. Shane just kind of his guy, and he wants to be the guy making the call. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't think that if you didn't see all these coaches getting chopped left and right, I'm not saying Shane's going to get chopped, so don't take this the wrong way, but you got a new athletic director, people screaming and hollering about, Shula hanging in as long as he's hung in there, and he didn't let him go when he let Teasley go. So, I'm telling you right now, I think that Shane's feeling just a little bit of pressure, and I normally wouldn't say that, but and I'm not saying Donati's going to stick his nose in there, but it's kind of a different situation. And last but not least, and you got to think about this, you got 10,000, 15,000 people listening to you guys and the Big Spur and Gamecock Central, and those are the people that kind of, I'm never coming back if they do this and that, but everybody will be back in the seats next year. The good news is this: Mike Furrey, he's gonna fling it like crap. If you go look at his numbers at Limestone, man, this guy threw the ball like crazy. I actually went to Limestone, so I kind of kept up with him a little bit. And I think he's going to bring an exciting brand, and I like that dude, man. So, but if they don't go interview other people, then it's just not going to be pretty. I'll hang up and listen. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I appreciate the phone call. I mean, that's what I'm asking. I don't. There's not a wrong answer if you weigh in. I'm not going to tell anybody. I don't think. Look, Kendall Briles is kind of waiting out a head coaching job.
Yeah.
Whether it's right or wrong, I do think bringing Kendall Briles in does feel kind of like, are you hiring? We've gone through this with a couple of things, like when Mark Kingston hired Monty Lee, right? Like,
yeah.
Are you essentially also hiring your replacement at the same time? I don't know. And do you want a guy? This brings up another question that I have. So many questions. Do you care if this is a one and done? If he's successful, he's not success. If the new OC is not successful, we all agree it's probably a one and done. But if he's not, if the new OC is successful, do you care if it's a one and done? Does that make sense? Let's just hypothetically say you do land Kendall Briles. I don't think you do, but let's just say, and he comes in and he lights it up, and Lenore Seller stays an average 40 points, and South Carolina goes 10-2 and makes the playoffs. I know I'm pipe dreaming over here. No beverages involved, but let's just say that. And then Kendall Briles gets the head coaching job because he's a young stud of a head coach.
Sure.
Gets a head coaching job somewhere.
Yeah,
and it's a one-year deal, and Shane's got to now hire another. Does that matter?
I think you take it.
I mean, do you go like, okay, 1 year, good, now we're back to square one again?
I think, and again, the fact that you're getting an assistant hired for your staff, as Beamer mentioned the other day, is, a good sign. That means you must be doing something right. And if that means that next year is a step back in the right direction, then sure. And I mentioned this yesterday. I played the clip from Beamer after the game on Saturday where he was referencing a story that Jordan Kay wrote about bowl games mattering. And he was saying, bowl games matter, essentially. And I used it as the point to talk about this is unfortunately kind of becoming a year-to-year type of program based on the results of the past 3 years. Miss a bowl game, top 15 team, on the verge to missing a bowl game again, where if you go next year, you're another maybe top 15 or a playoff team. If your scenario ends up playing out, then I think at that point, not that you love it, but you kind of accept, okay, it's just going to kind of vary year to year, and some years are going to be really good, some years not so much. And I don't know, do you live with that reality as a Gamecock fan? I don't know, but again, for the short term at least, if you were able to bring in like a guy like Kendall Briles and you just had 1 year of success before he went off and took a head coaching job somewhere, I think at this point you'd take it. Yeah,
look, I don't think there's a wrong answer for anybody. I genuinely do not. Text weighs in, why not bring back G.A. Mangus? Really good, really good interview with him. and Steven Garcia.
Does he want to do it? That's the question.
We might get him on. I'm good friends with GA. I don't know if he'd want to come on. I don't know if he'd want to address it. He's coaching over at BC, and if you listen to the interview with Steven and Patrick, and again, Tailgate Talks, and they do a phenomenal. It's really good, and it goes back to the Spurrier stuff, and it's pretty funny. And there's actually Garcia is really insightful. Tried to get Garcia on a couple weeks ago and couldn't get a response, but it's really insightful. He's got the attitude that I think a lot of and I don't want to say older, I don't want to pick on GA, and I'm good enough friends with GA that I could just call him an old man, still a good golfer. I don't think he wants to deal with college football now.
A lot of coaches don't.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
He's doing well. Well, I'll reach out to him, and we'll see. I don't want to put him in a bad position. He doesn't need to answer some of this. But
and here's the thing. It doesn't have to be somebody that has connections here. And I get it why people do that. And, this guy played here, this guy coached here before.
Or connections to Shane Beamer.
It can be somebody completely out of left field that Beamer looks at and says, you know what, I like his offense. Let's give him a call. It doesn't have to be somebody that has prior connections, has ever lived here, coached here, or played here, whatever it may be. You don't have to kind of put yourself in that sandbox when thinking about candidates here.
Yeah. We'll circle back to this, get into the Rico Dowdle stuff as well, and a lot more. But coming up next, we're going to do some NFL talk. We're going to get into some power rankings and look at the schedule for the upcoming weekend and where things stand as the calendar has flipped to November. Eric Edholm with NFL.com joins us. You're listening to the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for Old Tommy Meat Market. It's officially the weekend. I don't care what you try and explain to me. It's past 2 o'clock now, and it's Thursday. And that means it's grilling out, baby. Go over to one of the 3 locations, South Congaree, St. Andrews Road in Irma, or the Lexington store, where you'll run into me, and stop by Old Tommy Meat Market, who has the absolute best cuts of meat at the absolute best prices. That's why I love them. But you know why I really love them? Because they're your local butcher. That's right. They treat you like that. That's why it's called Old Tommy Meat Market, because they want it to be like the olden days. A non-grocery store meat buying experience where they know you and they know your family. I can take the kids in there, Ansley and Austin, and they know that Austin loves himself a great steak, and they'll talk to him about it. They know Ansley loves good salmon, and they explain the different kinds of salmon. They treat you like a family member. Not only do they have great food, they have great people. That's why I love visiting Old Tommy Meat Market. Do the same. Stop by today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. It is 2:17 on a Thursday. Little NFL football tonight. Raiders traveling to Denver. Jay Phillips Broncos out there. Bo Nix trying to kind of hold it together. Raiders trying to figure out what the heck they're trying to do with football right now. Joining us to talk about tonight's game, the NFL, and his power rankings, Eric Edholm with NFL.com. Make sure you go to NFL.com and check out his work. He also has a preview tonight of the game. Eric, by the way, Eric, big Missouri fan. And Eric, does Missouri keep Eli Drinkowitz this offseason?
Good question. Yeah, that's sort of the topic du jour. I think the panic at first was Florida when that job opened up. Then LSU opened up, and they thought, well, maybe there's another connection there. And then all of a sudden, people went back to Penn State, which had been open the whole time. I'm not following this stuff closely enough to, make calls on it and that sort of thing and be the insider voice. But yeah, I do pay enough of attention and have some friends who cover the team who say, it might be tougher to keep him this year. There was always this belief that Mizzou would pony up and that, he's done plenty for the program and be worth whatever. The guy's already like a top 11 or 12 paid coach in college football. So, I don't know. I would say watch Penn State. I mean, they have Matt Zollers, their quarterback's from Pennsylvania. I bet he'd probably follow him back home. But, yeah, it's not what I imagined at first anyway.
Again, he is Eric Edholm joining us. We brought him on to talk some NFL, but good little analysis. We have to get you back on to talk about that later on as we get closer to Thanksgiving. But let's get into tonight's game for a second. In your latest power rankings, now the Broncos got off to a really good start. They have struggled a little bit here of late, but your thoughts on, you got an article out, people can go and check it out on NFL.com. 3 things for tonight's game that you were watching.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Broncos heavily favored. The Raiders are kind of down bad a little bit as well. They do have Brock Bowers back, and he's making a huge difference for them. But for the Broncos, I think when I do the power rankings, and one of the things that Broncos fans are upset at me about is that I've sort of held back. I've sort of pumped the brakes a little bit on them. I've had them just kind of on the outskirts of that upper quartile. They're sitting at like 8, 9, 10. And the reason is that they've been outscored on the season the first 3 quarters of games, and they've outscored by 1 point. Let's make it clear that it wasn't a lot. But they've had to rely on being dominant in the 4th quarter. And that's a good quality in a football team, right? Team that can close games and such. But they seem to kind of play with their food a little bit too often early in games and get themselves behind the 8 ball, so to speak, and kind of have their, Bo Nix bail them out late and their defense make a big play. So it's come back to bite them a couple times. I don't think it'll do so tonight, even with Bowers for the Raiders. That defense is so good. And they don't have Patrick Surtain, who's obviously one of the best, defensive player of the year last year in the NFL, but held up really well, just playing a little bit more zone and, asking their guys to sort of rally and tackle a little bit better. So it's a good Denver team. Is it a Super Bowl caliber team? I don't know that I've quite seen that yet, but I wouldn't be shocked if they end up, finishing strong this year and making a run at getting to the big game.
Oh, one team that I don't think anybody expected to be talking about in the conversation for the Super Bowl before the season started was the Colts, who come in at number 3 on your power rankings this week. And again, the story of Daniel Jones is crazy enough for what's going on up there, but didn't have his best game this past weekend. They get dominated by the Steelers in a lot of fronts, kept turning the ball over. Just a bad day at the office, or maybe a sign of things slipping a little bit for the Colts?
Yeah, that's the big question. I think what happened on Tuesday, them trading for Sauce Gardner, actually had a lot to say about their belief in Daniel Jones. Number one, trading 2 firsts for Sauce Gardner, you can debate whether that's too high a price or not. I'd probably be willing to engage on that kind of talk because it's a cornerback with 1 interception in the last 3 years. Does he bring that elite kind of value? I don't know. But what it says is, they don't plan to be drafting a quarterback anytime soon. Now, maybe Anthony Richardson in their back pocket helps. I mean, hasn't developed as expected, but you have another option, a guy who was competing with Daniel Jones for the starting job. But these days, first-round picks equal quarterback ammunition, right? If you don't have one, that's what you do to get one. You use those selections. And the fact they traded 2, now granted, this year will probably be a pretty low pick, but still, what it says to me is that their belief in Daniel Jones is strong, even after a game in which he, turned the ball over 5 times. So, in their 2 losses, 9 turnovers. In their 7 wins, 1 turnover. And right now, the body of work suggests that he's been way more good than bad. And maybe he's the next in line with Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, all these guys who've had second, third, and fourth chances elsewhere and finally cashing in. At this point, they seem to have pretty good trust in him.
He is again Eric Edholm joining us. Eric at Eric_Edholm. If you want to follow him on Twitter, again, NFL.com author there, and a lot of great articles. Okay, I can't figure this out. I'm not even a huge fan of them. Are the Panthers any good? Like, you look up on TV and they're beating the Packers this weekend in Green Bay. Green Bay's making some really dumb decisions, but the Packers go in and lo and behold, but a few things break right, Eric, and they're right there with a chance to win the division against Tampa Bay.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And look, I have a healthy amount of respect for Tampa Bay. I mean, I picked them they were kind of my dart throw Super Bowl pick in the preseason. I thought, let's go away from chalk. Let's pick a team that maybe could rise up. And that's how I ended up with Tampa Bay. But to Carolina, I mean, 4 out of 5 wins, can't complain with that. The strange thing is that some of their losses have been pretty big. Close game for a couple quarters in New England, and all of a sudden, blowout city. Bills came in, whitewashed them, but obviously your boy Rico has added a real dimension to that team there and been terrific. Bryce Young back in the lineup. I don't think he'll ever truly be I don't know. I don't want to sell him short, but I don't know that he's ever right now a game-changing quarterback. But he's playing better and within the system well. Ted McMillan's been fantastic, I would say. Still helping, move the chains and get scores. He's been great in the red zone. Defensively, they're clearly improved. Last year was an abomination. So, yeah, 5-4. The unbeaten in the division so far. I know they have 5 games left against the NFC South, but you beat the Saints, you beat the Falcons, you're 3-0 in the division, and then you got this tough stretch of games that includes, the Rams and other teams, and then obviously having to face Tampa. So who knows? I didn't think they'd have enough juice this year, but I'm kind of forced to buy in, even with a couple losses that made me question them a little bit.
Let's go to the top of your power rankings now. Get the Seahawks there. Of course, we all watched kind of similarly the way that we're doing with Daniel Jones this year, what Sam Darnold was able to do with the Vikings last year under Kevin O'Connell. And I think, is it safe to say that he's officially, firmly a good quarterback in the NFL now? We don't have to talk about his bad days and with the Panthers and the Jets and all that kind of stuff. He's solidified himself as a good NFL quarterback.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, last year for me proved a lot. Even though there were some, and they won 14 games in Minnesota, and I still had some doubts coming into the year because I didn't know what the Seahawks offense would be. Were they a power run team? Were they paid Cooper Kupp a lot of money, traded away DK? There were just so many changes that I thought, what are they trying to put together here? But they right now, even with those 2 good backs, are a intermediate and deep passing game offense, and Sam is kind of the engineer of that. He was outstanding against the Commanders. A couple of so-so games before that, but again, I would say that the body of work has been overall impressive. So, maybe it's just another reminder that, like with Jones and Darnold and these guys, I mean, you can't ever truly write off one of these former first-round picks, these high-round picks, who at one point, people were considering potential franchise QBs. Maybe it's a bad fit or whatever. They go somewhere else. But this is now 2 different systems that he's been in the last 2 years where he's played at I would say, a top 10 efficiency level at that position.
Before we let you out of here, if I was to go by your power rankings and do it college football style, the game of the weekend will come on Monday night. I believe I got this right. The game of the weekend in terms of rankings, I believe is going to be number 5 Philadelphia against number 10 Green Bay. That'll be Monday night football. Let's get your thoughts. Since we won't have you back on before that, but your thoughts on that game.
Well, obviously, the Eagles have kind of gotten back on track. They added some defensive players at the break. They kept A.J. Brown. There was all this question about would they tinker with the offense, but 2 games now they've looked pretty good, and I think they're trying their best to replicate that formula they had a year ago, which is dominant pressure up front, enough coverage, flexibility on the back end defensively. Offense will be kind of a smash mouth meets play action pass thing, and guess what? They were the best team in football down the stretch. I don't know that they're going to be able to quite get it to that same level they had a year ago, but this is the kind of game where you find out if they can test themselves. Green Bay's been really good defensively, giving up a few big plays, but the pressure's there. The question comes down to how good is Jordan Love? I guess we have some of those questions, or we have in the past with Jalen Hurts, but he won it all last year. Jordan has yet to kind of show that he can win those big games consistently. Looked great against Rodgers 2 weeks ago, lost at home last week, and yeah, it's just you still have that sense of doubt. So this is a big one for Green Bay, no doubt.
About 30 seconds. How many pumps is too many pumps?
I got to get that skit going again. That third pump will always get you. That's the one that guaranteed to get a foul.
We're going to discuss that next. Eric, man, it was great talking to you. We got more stuff to talk about. We'll definitely get you back on to look at the season as we continue to roll along.
Looking forward to it. Take it easy.
Take care. Eric at home there. Again, NFL.com. Does a lot of great work. Make sure you go and check that out. Yeah, that is our question for you. Rico Dowdle and the Panthers in the NFL. Keegan and Pell, I thought we firmly established this. How many pumps is too many pumps? And then what do you do?
I have a defense for Rico on the other side, though.
I'm all for that, and we might have the text of the year from Albert. I'll get to that, too. You're listening to the Halftime Show.
All right, welcome back in. Halftime show. Tyler Head, Bill Gunner, Captain Dave, along with you here on your Thursday on the game. We'll get to what Rico Dowdle did and got fined for coming up in just a moment. But real quick, women's basketball back in action tomorrow night, taking on Bowling Green over at Colonial Life Arena. Tip-off at 7 o'clock. I have 2 family 4-packs to give away right now to callers number 4 and 5 at 803-404-6100. Again, 2 family 4-packs to see the women take on Bowling Green tomorrow night over at Colonial Life Arena. Dave, before you answer those calls, Rico Dowdle scored a touchdown on Sunday, and, he got fined for something that we thought he didn't quite cross the line on. And a notable comedian gave his take on this afterwards.
Rico, man, you got robbed. You only did 2 pumps. I'm sorry, man. Now we're going to have to write a new sketch.
Number one, to be clear, if you haven't seen it, Google it.
Yes.
Key and Peele. I believe if you just type NFL celebration.
If you type in Rico Dowdle on Twitter, it will not take you long to find it.
Right. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, number one, you need to see it. What was the player's name?
It was Hingle McCringleberry.
Hingle McCringleberry. Yes, the old Hingle McCringleberry character with, I believe he scores 3 touchdowns in the game. And anyway, I mean, where is the line in the NFL in, ha, that's funny, and, oh, my goodness, the kids can't see that anymore?
Well, apparently after 1 pump, I guess.
Is it? Do we have
I guess, but here's my defense of Rico Dowdle.
All right, we got it, and I'm with you on this. I think we're all with you, but let's hear it, Judge.
There is nothing specifically in the rule book that says you can't do this. Now, will it qualify under some unsportsmanlike conduct penalties? Probably. But and I told this to Elijah earlier because they talked about it on their show. And if you go back and watch the early game at like 7:15, you can see the debauchery that unfolded in here when they were discussing it. I said when Roger Goodell makes his State of the Sport address Super Bowl weekend, where he takes questions for everybody, talks about everything under the sun with the NFL, I need somebody to ask him about this. Where is that line? And we need a rule put in the rule book specifically for this penalty, if it's going to be a penalty.
Do we get more waist pumps? Hip pumps?
Well, now I think coaches are going to really shy you away from doing it because you're now costing your team yardage because the Panthers, I believe, missed the extra point after that.
Oh, they did?
They did.
That was a game really of a bunch of errors between both teams that could have won the game. And Matt LaFleur had a questionable coaching decision, we'll say, on 4th and 8. But, so is this what, if I'm the captain and I go to midfield for the coin toss, Mr. Ref, how many pumps is too many pumps? We got our running back today is planning a celebration. We know he's going to go in the end zone against this lifeless team across from us. Probably on the first possession after we win the coin toss. How many pumps, in your opinion, is going to be too many pumps?
Yeah, and you know what? A different officiating crews may have different rules. Again, different officiating. And like the NFL teams have all the statistics on this guy calls this many holding penalties. This guy's more likely to call this, that, all that kind of stuff. So do we have a scouting report on which officials will penalize you for this and which ones won't?
Do we have the official name? Do we have the name of the ref that called? Have we narrowed this down to which referee is the fun of wet cardboard?
I don't, but I'm sure somebody out there could.
803-404-6100. How many pumps is too many pumps in a football game? Where is the line between, dude scored a touchdown. Good for him. That's awesome. And turn your eyes, kids. It's too gruesome to see.
Okay, and to make this funnier, he has started a GoFundMe.
Yeah, for a charity.
For a charity, yeah. So he was fined by the league, $14,000, I believe, because of this. And, like, the donations go to charity anyway. Yeah. Anytime the league finds you, it goes to charity.
Did I retweet this earlier? Rico Dowdle does have a charity based here in South Carolina. I did see this earlier. Let me see. I'll see if I can locate that. I've done too much tweeting today. I don't typically tweet this much. At Will WIL Gunter GUNTER. He's at Tyler Head 18. If you ever want to follow us, I typically don't like to tweet as much. Apparently, I've been on a roll today. I'll find it. He has it, and it's a good charity. By the way, it's worth if you're going to make a donation to something this month.
And apparently his fine was $20,000 because I'm up on his GoFundMe now, and the description says, after much thought, I've launched a GoFundMe for my fines.
Oh, there you go.
He said I got 3 pumps, but I guess the NFL disagrees.
Yeah.
So he's riding with this.
Yeah. I will find that and we'll share that with you. And because, again, it's something that's for kids, too. Children's, here we go. Real quick, and I see you there, Greg, and I'm going to come to you in just a second. What Rico's doing is he has started a GoFundMe account, and it is for the Children's Home Society. It says North Carolina. I thought I read South Carolina earlier today. But he is doing a GoFundMe for the Children's Home Society that basically takes care of children who are, as you would kind of expect, in need of food or clothing or things, especially this time of year as it starts to get cold. It promotes the right of every child to a permanent, safe, and loving family. They specialize in education and prevention programs, family preservation, adoption, and foster care. So, again, he said 100% of what is raised through his GoFundMe. So a good ending to the No Fun League.
Which, it's so funny how, like, this specific skit, and there's several Key and Peele skits that just are known, but, like, we all knew exactly what it was. There's very few people you had to explain that one to. Like, we just all know what that skit was. And that's, like, I don't know, I guess in today's world we have so many, like, options out there, things to watch and listen to and stuff like that. When something is collectively known by everybody, it's kind of crazy.
803-404-6100. Was the NFL in the right on fining Rico Dowdle for 2 pumps? No, they were not. But you can weigh in on that. Let's go to the phone lines. Greg wants to go back to our offensive coordinator discussion on hiring friends as assistants. Greg, how you doing? What's on your mind?
Hey guys. First of all, let me I enjoy y'all's show. I enjoy and appreciate 107.5 The Game.
Thank you.
Full disclosure, I'm a tater.
Okay. All righty. Well, that's okay. We take all listeners here, all listeners. Everybody, our program is open to everybody.
Well, I've been listening, and I have something else to say on the Rico Dowdle. Man, this dude is balling out. This dude I keep up with, he's great, man.
Didn't quite see the career.
He's got a big contract coming his way this offseason by the Panthers or somebody else.
Yep. All right. I apologize. You got about 2.5 minutes. What you got for us on the assistants?
My thing was I was going to piggyback on one of your previous callers, speaking of Beamer wanting to hire some of his friends and family. Just look at the upstate and see how that's worked out for us. We have gone down, 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 down. Dabo he hasn't embraced the new era of college football, and it's obvious. That's not the way to go. So, get you a good hire.
Yeah, and I appreciate the phone call. I don't know. I mean, if your friend is your friend. Now, look, Dabo Swinney's been around for a long time. What do we define as a friend and a casual acquaintance, someone you know in the industry? What do you define as, as a good hire? I mean, I don't know if he is or isn't. I'm trying to, again, Brad Glenn, there's ties to Sean Elliott. There's ties to Shane Beamer. There's a lot of ties. I think Brad Glenn, by the way, went to Clemson. I think he is an alumnus of Clemson, I believe, if I read. He's from Seneca. And I don't think that matters, by the way, when you're doing this. I don't think he's going to intentionally throw the Clemson game or any other. But again, let's hypothetically say Kendall Briles had been in the wedding of Shane Beamer.
Sure.
Well, then you go, well, that's the guy we want, but that's his buddy, that's his boy. Mm-hmm. No, we can't have.
Well, you can have both at the same time. Have it be a good hire and somebody that is related or has a connection to Beamer or the staff. Like, that doesn't automatically mean it's a bad hire. I was just saying you got to look outside that sandbox too.
All right, look, and we'll come back and wrap up. Albert sent in a text. He's got the answer. I don't know if I agree or not, but he's got the answer. The text of the year. I don't know if I care. And it sounds strange, but I don't know if I care because if it works, awesome. We're all happy. We're thrilled.
Sure.
We're going to win a bunch of football games. Now, if it doesn't work, You know what you were doing? You and I hope I'm still employed. You will be. They can't go. This station can't go without you. We'll be talking about a new head coach. We'll have to be doing it next. We'll be sitting here going, we're not talking about an OC. We're talking about who's the next head coach. It honestly is that simple. And it's Shane Beamer's call. And whatever he chooses, I'm all for it. We'll wrap up the program. It's the halftime show. Wrapping it up. calling it a day. 21-hour break for me. 18-hour break for Tyler. Hey, what you got for tomorrow on the 9 to 12 show?
Oh, I'm actually in the middle of putting this together. Yeah, we're gonna talk about obviously the weekend slate. Is it good? Is it better for A&M to win or lose on Saturday to benefit South Carolina? We can talk about this on this show as well.
Yeah, put it down.
SEC slate. I really want to break down the conference championship races to kind of see last month of the season who's in the driver's seat, who's still got a chance, and ultimately how many leagues are going to get just one team in and how many leagues are going to get multiple teams in based on the top 25 from the other night. So I dive into that. Also some of the surprising storylines of college football through the first 2/3 of the season because we only got 4 more weeks left until the regular season's over.
Yeah, I will admit, I am a happy little camper right now. College basketball, college football, NHL, yes, NBA, NFL tonight, Raiders and Broncos. Thank you to Eric Edholm, who joined us earlier today to break down the NFL and what he had to say about the Panthers. Thank you again to Dave Bartu, who has already sent me a text apologizing, saying he rambled too much. No, he didn't. He did a great job. I'll retweet those. Captain Dave does a phenomenal job of getting that information and getting those up on our podcast page. Make sure you go to 1075thegame.com, click on shows. Our show is known as the Halftime Show. You can click on that, and you can listen to any segment, I believe most segments, that you missed, including our questions on how many pumps is too many pumps for Rico Dowdle.
And if you don't know what we're talking about, you can do the research on your own time.
Do the Google and check it out. Real quick, I just want to thank everybody. I was out, number one, Tyler, poor Tyler, you do a hell of a job. You really do. 9 to 12, and then you got to deal with me for 3 hours. Your wife must be a saint at home when you come home, and it's just like, I don't know how I got.
I get home about 2 hours before her, so I have some debrief time.
Well,
yeah.
it's for you to, she probably hears a lot. You're not going to believe what the guy from 12 to 3 said, who I have to work with. But anyway, you do a hell of a job. You held it down yesterday. I was at Charwood, and you held it down. For those that don't know, there's been times we've been on air, and I've gotten sick while we're doing the show. It had occurred on Tuesday. I got sick while we were doing the show, and I had to go home. And Tyler Morden covered us. He's covered me. I wouldn't be able to do this without Tyler. Everything he is providing me is more support. He's younger than me, so it's like having a little brother. And he's been phenomenal. The work he puts into this station alone, and then our show. He does all the work for our show. I show up and talk for 3 hours like a moron. And right now, sometimes I'm not even able to help him do that. Like Tuesday, again, I got sick, and he more than carried the show. And it's just, again, if it wasn't for Tyler here, I simply could not do radio anymore. And I owe him so many thanks for what he's doing for us. But I also want to thank people. So yesterday I was out. We had a benefit golf tournament for myself with everything going on over at Charwood. And I want to thank Rock and Daniel Lucas for closing down the course for a day. My father, Steve, all the effort he put in, Greg Sweat, Jim Thompson, for everything they did. We had a lot of teams out there. There were so many great people that were out there. Joey Estes, we've had Mary Beth on. We worked with her at Camp Discovery. Joey was out there doing a Vegas type deal and raising money. So many people. If you couldn't make it, that was okay. Not everybody could make a Wednesday golf tournament, but I do want to say thank you, not just to all of those people yesterday that showed up and are so supportive. Obviously, we got a lot going on at this station, but that were so supportive yesterday, that have been so supportive through all this. But I want to thank Tyler because, again, if you've noticed, if you've tuned into a couple shows, you notice I'm talking and then all of a sudden I disappear. And, again, if it wasn't for Tyler, that just simply I don't know if I could continue working. He has carried us. He puts together the show rundown each and every day. Him and Captain Dave are literally carrying me through this. I'm fairly healthy most days, but they'll tell you that some days things go a little haywire. And, Tyler, I just want to thank you. Captain Dave, I want to thank you
no problem.
For everything y'all are doing. But, man, the work you put in here, an 18-hour break just isn't quite enough for you, buddy.
Thank you.
So we're having a lot of fun. We're Justin, you're right. It's a great month. It's an absolutely phenomenal sports month. But yeah, man, 4 weeks of the regular season left of college football, and then you get Army Navy, but then we get championship weeks and everything.
Yeah, and the playoff is expanded now, so we get first round, quarterfinal, semifinal. So we got a lot more substance in the month of December and January than they had in years past. And I like that. I think it's going to be a fun race to see what 12 teams make it in because the chaos is not done. I can assure you that.
It's going to be a lot of fun. This is, last year was our first year, and you're right, we'll get more into this tomorrow. Last year was our first year experiencing playoff football in November where games we here got to experience some with South Carolina and A&M and then South Carolina and Missouri. Unfortunately, we're not going to do that this year. But seeing games, and maybe that's part of what we do tomorrow, is picking out games that will have an impact that are basically playoff elimination games.
There are a lot of big ones this weekend.
Obviously, BYU, Texas Tech, one of the headliners. We'll come back. 18-hour break for this young man over here. We're going to get him out of here. I'm going to get out of here. Captain Dave found us a good concert to go to. Me and him are lining up a buddy-buddy cop movie concert trip. We'll tell you about it tomorrow. Have fun.